Everyone, welcome to Code with Femi. It is so amazing to actually have you guys on my channel again. In this video, we're going to be looking at Git on Visual Studio 2019. It is very important to always ensure that you store your code remotely and not on your local machine. This is because your machine can actually crash at any time, or you can actually, your machine can get stolen. And one of the key ways to ensure that you don't lose, all the hard work you've done is to actually have an online repository or repositories where you store your code base. In this actual content, we're going to be looking at how you can actually use Git directly on Visual Studio. I know some developers, they like to use other like third-party software like SourceTree, like SmartGit, crackin. So there's different types of third-party software you can use in order to do source control when you want to like manage your code base. But in this actual video, I'm actually focusing on using Visual Studio 2019, where you can actually plug that directly to your GitHub account, and you can easily clone. You can pull down your code base. You can work on it. You can create new branches. You can do all the different management on your code base without leaving Visual Studio. And the reason why I want to show this is because for me it's quite productive when I actually just do my work just using as little as possible like technology, like software, rather than me having like multiple software that I need to like switch to. I think using Visual Studio, for me it's much more comfortable and it's much more easier to drive faster. But let's go straight into it. So this is actually Visual Studio. I've just started the IDE, and I'm just gonna say continue with code. So when I click on that would take me to this. There's nothing yet, there's no code base yet. And if we go onto my GitHub platform, you can see there my GitHub account that I've got 4 repositories. I've got solid principles, I've got all this ones I've just pushed, the ones I've pushed up, and actually I can easily pull any of this repository or all of this repository on any machine I want to, as long as I've got access to it. So one of the things also you have to bear in mind is, for you to be able to do this, you need to ensure that you have Git installed on your computer. You need to ensure that you have Visual Studio installed, and also you have to make sure that you've set up the necessary authentication for your GitHub to actually work with your Visual Studio. So if you've missed my previous video on how to connect to Git using SSH, you can actually go check it out. So in here you can see that I have all those repos, and then I can basically go onto Visual Studio. I'll go on the Git changes, clicking on that, and then I can click on clone repository. When I click on clone repository, for this video I just want to use this as my working directory, so I'm gonna put my path there as my working directory. Or even before we do that, I want to browse I can browse a repository. So you can either browse your repositories on Azure DevOps. That's also this is also a platform where you can actually get you can store your code base, you can pull down, you can do all of that. But GitHub is the one I'm using in this actual video. So you click on GitHub. Once you click on GitHub, you can see that I've actually added my my account. I've already connected my account to this Visual Studio, so it's easy for for me to see all the different repositories that I've got. And you can see I've got all the ones you see on the actual browser itself, which is this ones. You can see it there right here as well. So let's click on this one, and then I'm just going to put that workspace I showed you, and also let's just remove that one solid. Before I click on clone, I'm just going to open up this so you can see this in action. Let's do this. Let's see if I can get this to, let's say, okay, let's clone, then just gonna see what happens. So you can see there that I'm pulling down the actual code base from GitHub, which is actually very good because you can always pull down code anywhere you are. And I know there are cases where you might be working on a project. Just always make sure that you make use of an online repository platform to keep all your code, so you don't have to worry. If anything happens to your machine, then you don't have to worry. You can always get another machine and clone your code and keep on working. And as you can see there, I've got the code there. You can see that I've got the actual solution here. I click on the solution, you will see that I've got all my code that I've worked on in my previous video for solid principles. Let's just see there. You can see that I've got all the different code files. And also if I go onto the actual one online, you would see there that I've got all the necessary folders as well. Like you can see, which is really good. It's quite amazing, right? So another thing that we can also do is that, because part of this video is to show you what you can do with Git, right, on Visual Studio. So one of the things I want to do is I want to actually create a new branch. So let's say, for instance, I want to work on a new version of, let's say, solid principle. I just want to work on a new version of this actual software. I can create a new branch here by clicking on new, and from the new I can also select where do I want to create the branch from. So your locals are actually the local version. So what you see here is the local version of what is on here. So always bear in mind that in most cases when you need to clone, if you want to clone from the updated version of your of a branch, or just make sure you know which one has the latest code, because there are cases where your remote might be much more updated than your local. And if you clone from here, you might still need to, in a way, merge those changes into, the new branch that you would have created. But we'll talk about merging as well. But for now, I'm just so the first thing we've spoken about is cloning. Cloning is actually you just getting the file into your machine for you to start actually working. That's means you having a replica of that actual repository, whatever content is there, into your local machine, and then you can actually start working. Another thing is so the next thing we're looking at now is branching. Like branching, that means when you want to do something, a new feature, but you don't want to work on an existing state of the file that you have on this particular branch. Because as you can see here, main is the branch that I have, and I don't want to work on main because for me main is quite stable. So you might have your stable code there on main, and you want to add new features, you want to do some new things, but you don't want to just do it on there because it might break the things you've worked on. So what you want to do is you want to create a new branch for that. So we call that branching, where you want to branch out of an existing branch. And this is how you do it. Like I said, let's do it again for those of you who missed it. Click on main, then you click on new branches. So from new branches, you can now say what branch is it based on? Is it the local one or the remote one? So because we have the only branch we have for now is main, but I'm just going to say remote. Click on remote, and then what I can do is I can now actually put this in category. Let's say this is actually a feature. I'm just going to say a feature, and I'm going to say let's just say ft-1. Let's say this is feature 1. I'm just going to say ft-1, and then I'm going to say create. So that will create a copy of this into another branch. And as you can see right there, just pay attention to the bottom there, you can see that I've got main. I still have main, but when I click on this, that will switch to my branch. So this is the new branch now. And if I go to GitHub, let's just refresh this. You also see that I have 2 branches now. Let's say view branches. Let's see if we can get all the, okay, it's not yet showing up here because we've just created it locally. We haven't pushed it up to the remote repository. So that's another thing you have to bear in mind. When you create a new branch, it will not just automatically reflect on here, like on this actual repository. You still need to push it up. So for that, we've created a branch. Now you know you have a branch. Now let's just go in here deep. I'm just gonna say for, let's say for a service, remember we dealt with this, to say so yeah, I'm just gonna put in a comment to say on this branch, for instance, I'm just gonna put a new comment here to say a service not working as expected. Okay, let's save that. And then I'm going to, so this is the next part, which is you committing your change. So I've made a change here. The next thing I want to do is I really want to commit this change into this branch, feature /ft-1. That is the feature. I'm just adding a comment here. It could be anything that you want to do. This is just an example. You can be changing this class, you can be doing anything in this code base, but this is just an example where I have a service not working as expected, right? Or I can actually say to do a is not working as expected, comma, please fix before the 15th of October 2021. Okay, just gonna say that I can just move this into 2 lines so that we can see. Okay, so we're now saying that, okay, this is a comment. This thing we know is not working because remember from the last video, this thing was throwing an exception. So we're saying that we need to actually like work on this before the 15th of October. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to commit it. When you commit, what commit really does is it actually like you know, put that changes onto that branch, but it doesn't push, so it's still in your machine, but it's just that now it is a change that you have, you know, put in place that you know it's gonna go up. So when you say commit, that means that it is actually there and it's ready to go, you know, into the remote branch. So if I say ft-1 added comment for broken a service. So, and also always bear in mind that your comment is very important as to what you've done, because that would help also in terms of, you know, tracking things and tracing things, and also for the other developers to see what has changed in the actual code. So for this one now, I've actually said that added comment for broken a service, right? This actually it's quite descriptive as to what I've done. So just make sure that whenever you add in your comment, let it be descriptive, let it be clear as to what you've done to the code base. And then what you want to do is you want to commit. You can either choose, you know, this to say commit like commit all, or commit and push, or commit all and sync. So I'm just going to go through it one at a time. So commit all is you just committing all the files you've changed in here into the local, you know, the local cache that you've got. And then from there, so when we commit this actually gets it, you know, stored and it's ready to go up. So, but this doesn't mean that it's actually there on the remote yet. It's not here yet, because if I refresh this, you would see that we still don't have anything yet. It's still just one single branch, right? But now what you should also now know is that push is what actually pushes it up into the, you know, the remote branch that you've created. So if I click on push, that would actually push these changes. You can see there also, in terms of your commit, there is actually an identifier, like a you know a key there, an hash, to tell you that okay, this is the hash for that commit. And also what we've done is we currently pushing now to our branch. You can see that I say successfully pushed feature /ft-1 to origin. That means that origin is actually the remote, the remote repository. So now if you go here, you can see there that it's actually saying now that we've actually did a push now. Now check here, if I refresh this, there should be multiple branches now, not only main but also no, let's go back. You can see that now that I've got multiple branches actually. Sorry, let's go. What's going on? Yeah, we've got multiple branches. We've got main, we've got feature ft1, and if we go and check what we've done currently, which is on a service provider, we've added a comment. You can see that the comment is right there, right? Awesome. And also if you now go back to the other branch, which is main, you will see that that actual a service provider doesn't have that comment, that actual changes I've added to the previous branch in here. So this is just to tell you that you can actually branch out of an existing code base and do more stuff, do your work on that actual branch, and then when you're ready, you can actually now take this branch and now merge it into whatever branch that you want it to go into for you to deploy it to, maybe to a new environment or something. So for this now we've touched on clone. So you know how to cloning the code base from GitHub into your local machine. And then now we've also dealt with creating a new branch. So you can create a new branch now. You know how to create a new branch from an existing branch. And also you should know how to push now, to commit and to push. So those are the key ones that we've touched on now. Another one that you should actually know is in the case of where you're done, let's say you're done with your change and then you want to push in your code, or you want to merge your code into this main branch. There are two ways you can do this. You can actually do it by merging directly into it, or you can actually do it using a pull request. And this is one thing we always do, where in the case where you're done with your code, you're happy with what you've done, but you still need to be able to ensure that someone else can actually help you check that you've done the right thing, where you want to be sure that you haven't done anything that is not out of the box or something. So to actually do that, we go on here onto the actual repository, and from here you can see that there is actually something called pull request, right? So what you can now do is you can actually create a pull request, and what that means is that you're not just merging directly your changes from that branch into main, but what you're now doing is you're creating a pull request so that other developers can actually be aware of what you've done, and they can actually go and check your code, like to see like what have you done. Is it actually ideal for you to move what you've done into the main branch? So and this is an example. I've just done a pull request now, and this is actually not going to change any state of any branches yet. This is just going to create it, and this will show what you are actually introducing into the branch you want to merge your changes into from your branch. And you can see right here, these are the two things that we've added on this branch called feature /ft-1, and we want to now merge it into main. So I can actually review this basically by looking at this, or I can actually comment here to say why do we why do we have a comment rather than fixing this issue? You know, we can actually like add a comment here, and then I can say start a review. Okay, and basically this is just me doing it by myself, but in a scenario where we have multiple developers, like many developers working on the same code base, you know, we have all this chat going on with one another where, you know, we can reply, we can, you know, talk about what is going on there, and then we can resolve it. And when everyone is happy, I can actually say, you know, once I'm done with my review, I can say submit review, and that would actually like, you know, raise it with the person that did the work for them to be able to see, okay, what, you know, okay, I have to fix this and all that. And then once that is, you know, once that is fixed, they can actually click on resolve conversation. And then the next thing that you now want to do is you can actually merge in your pull request. So basically, we just click on this, and once we click on this merge pull request, what is going to happen is the changes you've made here in feature /ft-1 will now be in main. Okay, so let's say merge. You can see that it says confirm. Yeah, let's confirm. So we've confirmed it, right? Another thing you can also do is you can delete the branch if you don't need the branch anymore. It's gonna delete that feature branch ft1 if you really don't need it anymore, because there's no point leaving branches there. It just makes your repository to have a lot of branches that are not really used. It's gonna be difficult for people to navigate through, so it's just best to delete a branch if you're not, you know, needing them anymore. And if I go to my code base now, and you would see there that you would see the latest updates there. And if you go into your actual a service provider on main branch, you will see that your changes are there now. Can you see that? So your changes are there, right? So this is how you actually like deal with you know, you working on the code base, you committing the code, you know, the changes you've done, and also pushing that up into your remote repository, and also from there creating a PR into a main branch where other developers can check what you've done, make comments, resolve the issues, and then the final step is to merge in your code into the main. So this is actually one scenario, right? So we'll look at another two scenarios, which is a scenario where you have a main. Okay, so let's say I have a main, and then on my main branch, let's see, okay, let's go back to main. So on my main branch, remember that, yeah, the changes are not showing up yet, right? You can see right there, I'm on main, local main, but if I check, yeah, I can't see the change. Why? And this is because the changes is still just here on the remote repository. It's not yet on your local. And how do you do that? There are two ways. The first way is actually to fetch. So what fetch really does is fetch actually helps you to pull down the, you know, the remote metadata to your local, but it would not apply, you know, the changes to your code base. If I say fetch, I'm just fetching it, and that would actually just update my local you know, my local cache, but that would not apply the actual changes into this. The other thing now that you need to do is you can now do a pull. So a pull does fetch and actually applies the changes to your actual code base. So fetch is in a scenario where you need to fetch, you know, maybe there's other branches on the remote repository, and you want to fetch them. You can easily fetch them, and you should be able to see all the different branches here. But in terms of pull would definitely make changes to your code base, to the current code base on that branch, if there is actually a change. So if I do pull now, so see there, if I click on pull, what it's gonna do now is pull is gonna pull down the changes and actually like update the code base. You can see right there that just came up now. That is what pull does. So pull would actually get the changes and apply to your code base. Fetch is, like I said, it's just fetching the metadata. It's not going to really affect the code that your code base. It would not affect the code base unless you click on pull. Pull would actually apply the changes to your code base, as you can see. So we've got that now, right? Hope you guys are learning. So another thing now I want to show you is a scenario where you create a new branch, right? I'm creating a new branch, and this new branch I'm creating now is I'm gonna create a feature branch. Let's say I'm creating a new feature, but let's call this ft-2 from main, right? So in this actual one, what I want to show you guys is a scenario where you want to do a cherry pick. Okay, so we have f2, right? And f2, for some reason, I'm adding, okay, let's say I'm going to add, let's actually add something here and say okay, what can we do? Okay, let's remove this. Let's say I'm removing that exception. So now this is working, right? Okay, this is working, and then I'm going to push this up. So let's push this actual change. Let's just push it up right into my f2 branch. Okay, and then I'm just gonna say ft-2 and say fixed a service provider issues, a service provider issues, right? So there I can actually push into my own branch now, which is ft-2. If you check here now, we should have let's say view all branches. Let's see what we've got. All branches. Okay, let's just refresh this. Is this pushed yet? Code base. Let's check. Okay, it's not pushed yet. I think it's still pushing. I think that is just taking its own precious time. And also the way you can also check is by clicking on that little thing on the bottom left, and then it will tell you as well. But yeah, you can see now that it's told me now that it's successfully pushed there. You can see it's actually reflecting here now. And then we should have two branches now. If I say view on branches, you should see we have ft2 now right there. So ft2 will fix the issue, right? And let's say, for instance, for some reason, there is also some other guy that came in here and actually did something on another service. Let's say for some reason the actual guy broke throw new exception. So let's just do this and say broken. So now B service provider is now broken. So it's like some other guy actually came in here, did some things, and for some reason this actual code base is not working anymore, right? And that actual person pushed in that code into, let's say, your branch. Let's say there are multiple developers working on that feature, and the other developer did something wrong on the branch. So yeah, it's just like updates to B service provider with new features. Let's just say new features. So known to the actual dev, he has actually broken this actual code, this actual B service provider. So doing that now, we have that committed, right? Let's just see. Just pay attention. So he's initiating a push. I've committed it and I've pushed it up. So that is just gonna push up the code into GitHub repository online. So origin, like I said, is actually where it's a remote your remote repository. It's away from your local machine. So like I said, if anything happens to your machine, you can always pull down your code on a new machine. So you can see that I've pushed that up there. If I go onto that branch, you will see that we've got 2 commits, and there it also shows you that you've got 2 commits. Also, one thing you should know now that we have we have the actual changes that we made to you see a service provider A. That was actually the fix that we did 3 minutes ago. You can see there. And also we have now updates to B service provider with new features. 1 minute ago, that was done by the other programmer or the developer that broke the actual B service provider, right? So now we know, like, for some reason we know that this is actually not ready to go in, because maybe we could see someone could check the comment and be like, no, this is now broken. No, we can't take this in, right? So that leads me to the other thing you can do with Git, which is actually doing a cherry pick. So this cherry pick is that I want to actually just take this commit, this change that I've made, into main, right? I want to do it into main, and I don't want to take this actual, this actual broken one, the other broken one. I don't want to take that in. So we've got 2 commits, so don't get confused. So we did 2 commits. The first one was this one, which was the fix to fix a service provider, and then the second one was the other one that was done that broke the actual B service provider. So now we just want to take that one in. We don't want to take this other one into main, because main is where we push in our code to take it to the environment where it needs to be hosted. So what we can now do is we just have to make sure that we first thing you want to do is go onto main. So that's what I do. This is how I do it. Just to be safe, I actually just switch to the actual branch, the main branch, and what I do is on that actual main branch, I do a pull just to get the actual changes, make sure that I have the latest copy of main on my on my local machine. So once I do that, the next thing that I do is in the main, I create a new branch, and this one I can actually call it let's just call this a merge / and I can say ft2 cherry pick -2 -main. So this is what I actually most likely put my the name of my branch to, because by saying this, I'm actually just saying that I want to just cherry pick a specific commit from ft2 to main, right? So this is going to be a new branch entirely to actually just make sure that I can actually just cherry pick that change right into main. But I want to do it in a safe manner. I don't want to just do a cherry pick straight into main, because if you do a cherry pick straight into main and that pick is not right, you might actually run into issues. So let's create this branch from main. So now I have a new branch that I've created from main, and this is where we're gonna now do the actual cherry pick. So cherry pick is like you just want to pick that specific change that you want to take across without taking any other changes across. So we have the branch now. The branch is happy now. We can see that we have a new branch, right? So now what you want to do is you want to go on that feature ft2, because that was where the changes are. You want to right click and then you want to click on view history, and guess what is going to happen? We're going to see the history of all the different commits that was done on that actual branch. You can see here that we've been quite busy here, right? We've got a cherry pick, we've got a branch I just created, we've got the fix, and then we've got the broken stuff. But the only one I want to pick is this one, this actual one. So just bear in mind, the history I'm viewing now is feature ft2, right? So I have the different changes here, And also what you can even do is you can actually right click on this and say view, click on view commit details, and this will even show you what that commit is all about. And if I check here, you can see right there that I've got you can see that there I've got the actual change. That was the actual change where we removed that comment and we removed the actual exception that was thrown. So we have a working A service provider now, right? Okay, so this is the change we want to take in, this actual change where everything is working as expected, right? On the right. So let's close this again, go back to the history, and then you want to right click on that one and actually say cherry pick. Cherry pick will now pick that actual commit into this actual branch, this new branch now that we've created, right? Guess what? Now you can push it up. You push it up, that will go into that new branch that we created. Okay, so let's just see, let's see, then it's still, it's still pushing up to the main branch. So yeah, there, it's up there. Go back in here. If I go to, let's just refresh this again, let's see, scroll down, you can see that I have a new branch. Click on the new branch, you will see that that actual actual change is there. Now let's do a pull request into main. Let's just say compare, do a pull request. So we do a pull request from this actual branch we created into main, because that is the only branch that has the changes we want to take into main. So just bear that in mind. We say create a pull request, and then guess what? The developers will see the pull request if they're actually part of this repository, and they can see now they've removed that. You can see the minus sign that says this has been removed. This has been removed. That means, okay, this is now working. Okay, I'm just gonna approve this, and click on, let's just say looks good. Cannot approve. Okay, this is because we cannot approve our own that's another gate there to say that an author cannot approve their own pull request. But in a scenario where we have other developers working, they will be able to approve this pull request, and then once that is approved, then it's easy for the author of this actual change to be able to merge in their code into the main. But now all you're gonna see now is just that change that we moved into the main branch. You wouldn't see the other change. So if I go to, so this is main, go to DIP, a service provider, you can see that has been fixed. And if I go back to B service provider, you will see there that change is not in yet. If you go back to FT2, you will see there that we have the changes there that has broken the B service provider. So yeah, that is actually how we do all this source control management and ensuring that we deal with our code in the right manner. So now clone, how to commit, how to push, how to cherry pick. That's quite amazing. So the final ones I want to show is I want to show you how to stage. So another scenario is this, where we have, so let's say we have another branch. Let's go back to main. So from main, and you can see there that you can create as many branches as you want to. It doesn't really necessarily have to be one or two branches. You can create as many branches. You can have a branch for proof of concept. You can have a branch just to do your checks and tests and all that. You're not restricted. You can have as many branches as you want to, which is really good. And And also this helps you to have different states of your code base, so you know what changes that you might want to like revert back to if there's any issues or any concerns. But as you can see right there, so we have main, right? So in main now I'm just going to create my new branch again. Before I do that, sorry, let's just do a pull. You do a pull, and then what pull would do is pull would just ensure that we have the changes on our like I said, you have the latest changes now on your local repository on your branch. Then we can create a new branch and call this feature /ft-3. It's feature 3, right? Let's create that. And in this one we're just going to be dealing with how to stage, because that's another one that it confuses people, because they be like commit and stage. What is the difference? Okay, so stage is this. Let's say you do have a changes here. Let's say I have another one here to say console. Let's just see, this is actually just login, cell phone. So let's just see, this is actually a logger that I've added here, right? I've added a logger here. And then on service A, let's say that I'm actually just doing some check here to say, okay, SMS service equals to let's just say, just gonna put a string for now, okay? But this is just me just coming up with examples as we go along. But basically we have something like this, right, where I'm just making changes here. But let's now say that a service provider class, for some reason I'm not done yet with this, right? But I'm actually done with this. I'm done with this actual B service provider. I've actually added a log in there, and I want to ensure that even though I'm not done yet with A, but for some reason I still want to take B in. I want to take B service in. I want to commit it up. So how do you do that? Because now I have two changes. Must I now commit everything? No, you don't have to. So what you can do is you can actually use the plus sign here, which means stage, or you can actually just right click and actually click on stage. So what stage does is that stage would actually just make that file ready. The ones you click on stage, those are the ones that would be ready, that you can commit and push up. So this is just to actually prep a file and actually know that, okay, these are the pending changes that you are not really sure of yet, but this one you're sure of and you want to take it up now. So you just have to stage it. That's the first thing you have to do. And once you stage it, then you can actually like put in a comment as as necessary and say that added login for B service provider. Okay, and then we can now commit stage or commit stage and push, which would be the the one I use, which is basically the you can see there that the actual one I've staged is now up. This one is still here because I'm not done yet with that. So that is how you know the difference. Now you know how to stage. Okay, so we have that, right? So now another thing now that we have to deal with is so if you go back to, let's refresh this, let's see, is that done? It's still pushing up. Okay, still pushing up. Let's just wait a little bit and see if this. And by the way, some guys that came to work at my place actually like broke the fiber line. So I'm using mobile data for this, so please bear with me, because I know you would have observed that it's quite slow, the internet. Yeah, so that's the story of my life currently. But if I refresh this, you would actually see that we've got F3, right? F3. If you go to F3 and then go to solid.app, you see there that now we have our changes there, which is perfect. But the ones we had for the previous one, which is a service provider, is not there yet, right? check this one, a service provider. You see that we don't have any changes there. Go back to our code base. Our changes is still here, which we are not done. We're not ready yet to push up this one. You can see that that's still there, but it's not, sorry, it's not here, right? So that is staging. That is how you stage your, stage the changes you want to take up, and actually just exclude the ones that you don't want to take up. The other one I will also like to show you guys is actually resolving merge conflicts, because that is the one that a lot of people actually struggle with. Like where someone is changing the same file as you are changing right here, and then there is problem. Like how do I resolve it? Okay, so I'll give you an example now. So let's say, for instance, I'm now changing this to say login, and then let's put a date now. Let's just say let's just put a date there. Say date time dot utc now. Okay, let's say I actually just added this, right? But before I push this, I'm gonna go onto the remote, the B service provider, right? This one, and then I'm gonna edit this actual file. So what I want to do here is I want to like add some stuff here. I want to like change the same line actually to say I don't like login. I'm just gonna take it away and say cell phone was sent the cell phone number was sent the SMS. Okay, I'm gonna do that instead. So basically we have this right on the, so let's just say that someone else was changing this code from another on their own machine, and they've actually pushed up this code, but I'm just changing it here just to simulate that. Okay, so we have this here. I'm just gonna say ft-3 updates to login statement. I just put it to be service provider login statement. Oh, okay, to be service login statement. Okay, we have that, and then we can actually just commit directly. We commit the changes directly into that F3. Now see what is going to happen. We have that right where we've made changes to this to say cell phone, cell phone was sent the SMS. Okay, now on this line I'm actually also doing the same thing. Remember, I'm actually also doing exactly in a way the same thing, but my own value is different, right? So let's actually stage this, and then let's say ft-3 added date time to login statement. Okay, now I'm gonna commit and try to push, right? Let's commit and try to push and see what happens. Okay, okay, now let's see, still pushing. Sure, let's go permission. Okay, let's not worry about that for now. Let's just see what happens. It's pushing. So just bear in mind, because here you can see that we've actually like changed that same line, but now this guy is also trying to, you can see there's actually a problem here, because I have to first pull, because it's going to tell you when there's a change on here that actually conflicts with the change you've made. It will tell you to actually like you have to pull first to get the changes down first, and then you have to resolve some conflict. So I'm gonna just say pull for now. I'm not gonna say then push. Let's just say pull for now. So that will pull those changes down now, but you would see what's going to happen when I pull. Now it's gonna tell me there is actually a problem. This is the ones that I know that, you know, the developers struggle a lot with. Once they see this, they lose their mind. So as you can see here, we have two scenarios, right? We have Ed, so which is telling me that this is the one that we currently have in our, you know, in our local repository, and this is the one that actually came through, right? So now this is how I resolve it. I actually double click on that actual file that is actually like causing a problem. In there you can see, just gonna have to collapse this so we can have more space to play with, right? So you can see there that we have these two changes, and this is also something I want to mention. Like, resolving merge conflicts shouldn't be done by just thinking what is right or what is wrong. I think it's very important to actually also like reach out to the person that made the changes to say, this is how your changes, which changes should go in and which ones are not ready. Because there are cases where I've actually seen where developers won't ask any questions, they just resolve it as they think it's right, and things will start breaking. But don't do that. Like, try to collaborate with other developers, find out what, you know, what is actually how to resolve this in the right manner. But if it's something you feel like, oh, okay, you understand what needs to go, you know, to happen. So in this scenario now, these are the two changes. The one on the right is actually the one we made in our local machine. The one on the left is one coming from the remote from GitHub. So now this is the actual one we have currently now in our working directory on this actual Visual Studio. So you can actually say take incoming, because that would actually now take the one that is actually coming in, which is basically this one, right? But I still want to add a date to it, right? So you can actually do that here. You can still fix it. It still allows you to fix it. But you might choose to say, okay, fine, I don't want to, you know, do it on this merge. I want to do the merge first and then later do the fix. Whatever floats your boat. But once you actually like have the code, you can see what is here. You're happy with what you can see. Let's just collapse this, see more space. You can see what see what you're happy with. Then what you want to do is you just want to save. Make sure you save the file. Make sure that file is saved. You can click on those ones on top. Then you close it. That would actually create a prompt to say, okay, do you want to keep the merge file? And you can say yes. That means that you're happy, and that would resolve this for you. You can see now that I have this now, and basically what we can now do is we can actually say ft-3 merged in new changes. Okay, and then we can actually now, we can see right there that we have that B service, which is that one, right? And then you can actually also still decide to say, do I still want to make my changes, okay, to that one? I see what it looks like now and I'm happy with the state I have there. And then you can actually just make your changes to that actual line, and that would have the two guys in there. And what you can now do is, let's go to git changes. You just have to make sure that you stage that change, because remember, I've just made a change now, but it's not yet staged. Just make sure you stage that change. You can also still check it, because what I do as well is I also like double click on the file to see, before I actually do a commit and push, is it what I want for it to go up? The one on the right is the one that is gonna go up, right? And you can also like see from the top there. You see right there, right? So this is the one with stage, right? You can see there. And then you can actually just do your push. You can just say commit stage and push. So that would actually commit just this section, what is in this section, up into the actual repository online. So you check there. Let's see what's going on. So I hope you guys are actually like, learning from this, gaining experience as to how you can actually use Git with Visual Studio to be productive. So you can see that we've been able to cover quite a number of different things you can do to to ensure that you have your code, do your source control in a nice way. You can see there F3 merged in new changes. You can see right there now that we have these changes merged in, which is now what we have in. So now you know how to, in a way, resolve merge conflicts when there's a conflict, when two files are changed by two different people, and now you can easily bring them together to have the the actual version you want, and take that forward with you. And also one of the other ones is in a way where you have a change here. You can also like what you can also do is you can undo it if you feel like you don't you're not really you don't want to make that change, you don't want that change to go in anymore for some reason. You can undo it and actually say undo. That would actually remove that changes. So you can see there are no changes here anymore. So that is how you can undo that change. If you don't really want it, you want to discard the change, you can see it's back to normal. So that is actually what I want to cover. I hope you guys were able to to learn from this. There's actually other one that I would like to share with you guys, which is stash, but that would be your own assignment. Like, go find out how to stash because stashing is something that also like we use in some cases where you have a bunch of changes, but there's other new changes coming in, but you don't want those changes to affect your change, so you stash them away, you keep them away. But I can do that in a new video, in another video. I think these are actually really key. The ones I've shown you, these are the key ones that are really vital in terms of source control. I hope you guys learned. I hope you guys enjoyed this session, and I hope to see you in my next video. Keep well.